Okay, so I'm back again. Let's hopefully we can get Kimmy back on the line.
Hiya!
I think I can see you.
Wonderful. At last.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Fantastic. Oh, Kimmy, it's so wonderful to see you.
Hello. Lovely to see you too.
Fantastic. So you're not sitting in London right now, are you? Where are you?
No, I'm in Ibiza just because you wanted to make everybody hate me. Yeah, I was due to fly back on Monday, but decided to extend my flight. So here I am.
Taking the time out to kind of come and chat with us. So Kimmy and I have known each other for a long time. Back when I was a baby PR and when Kim kind of first started out with everything. So we've known each other for about 12 years, but you've been a nutritionist for about 15, haven't you?
Yeah, I graduated in 2008. So we met just as I was going into clinical practice back in 2012, I think, 2011, 2012.
So I think start at the beginning. Tell us, how did you kind of get into being a nutritionist? How did you think actually this can be a career for me?
Well, I grew up in a family of foodies, right? My family are obsessed with food, and I was always really interested in what we ate, where it came from. I was brought up in a farming community. And then when I was 14, I saw chickens factory farmed, and I immediately became vegetarian. And I did that classic sort of vegetarian diet that I thought was healthy. I ate loads of pasta, lots of whole grains, plenty of veg, loads of fruit. But my diet was extremely carbohydrate heavy, very low in protein, and it really didn't suit my body. And I quickly found myself gaining weight and it not adding up for me, thinking, well, I'm doing all of the right things. I'm eating all these whole grains, loads of fruit, no animal protein. It's all good. And so it sort of set me off on this journey to explore, how food affects us. I've always been very interested in the connection between how food makes us feel, how it impacts our weight. And then when I was 20, I moved to London and I managed a small weight loss clinic. And unfortunately, that closed down. And I just knew then that that was what I wanted to do for my career. So I was in the third year of my gap year then, and just went back to study nutrition. Yeah, I took 3 gap years after my A levels, and and then went back to study for a degree in nutrition. And here we are now.
Amazing, amazing. But it's not just you anymore, is it? You've expanded.
No,
You're more than just Kim Pearson.
I am. So, yeah, my business grew and grew, and we got to this stage where I wasn't able to look after all of the clients myself anymore. And so, over the last couple of years, I've expanded my team and brought on a team of fantastic nutritionists who work with me to look after our clients. They've all been trained by me, they're all qualified nutritionists. They've studied health coaching so they can support with the behavioral side of things now. But yeah, there's 4 nutritionists as well as me. We've got Nikki, my amazing practice manager, who I don't know where I'd be without her, and then Sylvia, who works with us on the admin side. And it's a wonderful team, and everybody's just so passionate about what we do. I think that's what's really important to me. Anybody who is part of my team, I want them to feel as passionate as I am about helping people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's always something that I've kind of, whenever I've worked with you or whenever we've done projects together, like you're so passionate about what you do, but you're also immensely sensible. Um,
Maybe in a work capacity.
well, in like a kind of how you approach nutrition and about being balanced, and you're not a kind of like everybody just has to eat kale every day and that's it. You understand that people have to live their lives. Um, but we'll get to that bit in a moment. I just wanted to ask you about kind of how practically, kind of in this lockdown, not lockdown world, obviously you're in Ibiza now, you did have a clinic on Harley Street, like how are you working with your clients now? Like what's happened, what's changed?
Mm. So prior to lockdown, we've got the clinic on Harley Street, but we were also doing quite a lot of remote consultancy before lockdown anyway. Because a lot of my clients come through press, they're not necessarily London based. So we have clients all over the country, all over the world. And so we already offered remote consultancy prior to COVID. And in a way, I'm extremely fortunate because what I do does not require any sort of hands-on treatment. It's not like I have to put needles in somebody's face or do some kind of physical therapy. It's advice. So as long as somebody has the tools at home, for example, a scale, if it's weight loss related, then we can work together like this. So I was extremely fortunate to be able to just switch all of our clients to online consultancy. And we got busy at the beginning of lockdown because I think a lot of people thought to themselves, okay, I've got this opportunity now. Social life has been shut down. I've got this window of time where I'm not spending 2 hours commuting, an hour each way to work every day. I'm not socializing. I haven't got holidays. There's no distractions. And so they decided to sort of focus on what can they do to work on themselves. And so I think a lot of our clients articulated that they found it really supportive having somebody there to work with them, to support them in terms of their lifestyle, their health, their general well-being throughout lockdown, and working towards what they wanted to achieve in terms of their health and weight rather than going the other way.
Yeah, I was going to say, so how have you found, because I feel like there's kind of two quite separate groups here. There's the ones that saw the long lockdowns as like, right, I'm going to do something positive, and I'm going to use my time, speaking to a nutritionist and doing the gym wicks in the mornings and everything. And then you have other people who actually it was super hard, and really difficult to be motivated. I mean, I found even like reading a book and concentrating became so much harder. So kind of how have you found lots of your clients have gone the more like, yes, I need to do a million and one things, or you found that actually more that they've just found it really difficult, or is there a bit of a balance there?
Well, I think the first thing I would say on this point is if you're watching this and you are somebody who found lockdown tough and as a result you are not in your normal healthy routine or you have gained weight, don't beat yourself up about it. You are not alone. The last statistics that I saw said that about 48% of people have gained weight during lockdown. And it's been really tough. It's been stressful. There's been a lot of anxiety and fear. We've been bored. All of those drivers for non-hunger eating. Oh, what shall I do? Oh, let me see what's in the fridge. Or, oh, you feel stressed and anxious. Oh, I know what will settle that. Maybe some food. And also, I feel there's been a massive pleasure deficiency. I said this to one of my team recently. All those things that we do that bring us pleasure, seeing friends, socializing, going out maybe to a football match or the theatre or the cinema, those things that bring us pleasure and joy have just been taken away from us. And so as humans, we want to seek out pleasure. And so turning to food or alcohol in order to achieve that is, sorry, online shopping. Yeah, it absolutely. We're seeking out those things that make us feel good because the things that we do day to day that generally make us feel good were all taken away from us. And so it's been really tough. And so, yeah, of course, the clients that were working with us were very fortunate to have that consistent support and guidance in the right direction. I had a client who said to me at the beginning of lockdown, I know that if I've got this period of time, I could either gain 3 stone or lose 3 stone, and I know which way I want to go. And then, she hit her 3 stone weight loss, but it's not an all or nothing. You understand the way that I work, and I truly believe that you can achieve what you want to in terms of optimal health, a weight that you're happy at, without making your life misery.
Yeah, see, it's that balance we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of touch on that, I know that you work with a five pillars basis when you're working with clients, and a lot of that has to kind of do with, optimal health, and not just looking at it from a, if you're eating the wrong things, which is such a basic way of looking at it. There are these different kind of elements. So I think it'd be really interesting if you talked about those and how you kind of work with clients with that.
Mm-hmm. So I am a qualified nutritionist. First and foremost, we do work with clients to give them a nutrition plan that is tailored to their needs. Often there is quite a lot of confusion as to what is a healthy diet, what is the right diet for me, what should I be eating? And there's so much conflicting information out there. That is not a surprise. So it's our job to really identify what is right for you as an individual and create a plan that is realistic and achievable. And I think also so there's the nutrition, there's health. So we do not want to have somebody lose weight at the expense of their health. So often what happens is people go on a crazy crash diet and their health becomes compromised. And we want the opposite. We want to simultaneously optimize nutrition, optimize health, and bring body fat percentage down. From a health perspective as well, most of our clients have a pretty good idea as to what a healthy diet looks like. Many of them will have successfully lost weight in the past, but for one reason and another have struggled to keep it off long term. And sometimes that can be down to an underlying health condition that may have been diagnosed or may not have. For example, we see a lot of clients with underactive thyroid, other hormonal imbalances, women going into the menopause who have always managed to maintain a weight that they are happy at, and then they come to that age where hormonal changes occur and they struggle to maintain a weight they're happy at. And so, really having a good understanding of what's going on with somebody's health to identify whether there is some sort of imbalance that is contributing to that lack of ability to lose weight or keep it off is really key. Then lifestyle. So we so often see people who will have swung between all or nothing. And they'll say, I stuck to a diet, I did really well, the weight came off. Then I went back to my old ways and it all came back on. So I went on another diet and then it came off again. And we talk about balance and moderation a lot, which is great. But what does that actually mean? For me, it means that I can go out to a restaurant and eat something that I really enjoy and have a couple of glasses of wine, not feel guilty about it the next day, not have that lead to a spiral where I'm like, oh, it's all ruined now. So you know what, I'll get up and have a croissant for breakfast. Yeah, get up, get back to that healthy, identifying what is that balance? How can you strike the balance between living a life that you love and enjoy and embracing, food is a gift. It's an amazing thing. It's not about living on rabbit food. It's about, integrating it into your lifestyle so that it is a long-term change. You know how passionate I am about weight maintenance, not just supporting our clients in getting to where they want to be, but making sure they're in a really strong position to maintain that long term. And in order to do that, you can't feel overly restricted or like it's a constant battle against your willpower. So that's a real key factor, the lifestyle element. And then coaching. So all of my team are trained in behavioral coaching so that we can really help people understand their relationship with food and eating. We touched earlier on non-hunger eating. What are those things that are driving you to eat when you're not really hungry? Are there any associations with food? So often, certain situations in our life can drive us to eat certain things or drink certain things. And really digging into that, understanding your relationship with food and eating is so key to actually developing a healthy relationship with it and not feeling like it's this constant battle. And then Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
We were speaking over the weekend, weren't we, about that fantastic piece by Edwina in Chambers.
Hmm.
And she did a whole piece on emotional eating. And is that something that you've kind of always seen quite a lot of, or has it got significantly worse kind of post-lockdown or during?
It's always been an issue for people. It really has. And I realized quite early on in my clinical practice that I could give somebody the best diet in the world, but if they didn't have the capacity to stick to it, then it was as good as useless. And this is why I went on to train in coaching and the behavioral side of things so that I could help people understand their relationship with food, overcome those challenges so that it was truly a long-term solution, not just another diet that they then went to regain the weight afterwards. And you know that I have written about food addiction. I believe that it is a real thing. And it's a real challenge because unlike something like alcohol or cigarettes or drugs, if you have compulsive tendencies around food, you can't just cut it out. You can't just go, right, I'm going to stop eating today and that's it. I'm never going to eat again. It's not going to work out very well. But there is always some sort of underlying trauma or issue that is driving that. If we are, whatever it is we're using, whether we're using alcohol or drugs or food, we're using it to move away from an uncomfortable feeling towards a more comfortable feeling. The problem is that's only temporary. So it takes work to, and you know, it involves doing the work. That there's nothing really magic about it, but it takes that commitment. But it's so worth it. I mean, I've seen a couple of clients this morning for their maintenance consultations. So I have a maintenance program now for my clients who've got down to their goal weight, and you know, they're telling me just how much they're loving healthy food. They've been experimenting with salads with pomegranate and walnuts and, you know, all these wonderful things that I hear about how they've truly embraced healthy eating and overcome their challenges around food. And I know how hard they've worked to get there. And but it's worth it because it's for the rest of your life. It's not a diet that you do to lose weight for a holiday and then you put it back on, then Christmas comes around and you do another diet. If you can nail it, that is for life.
Yeah, and like you said, understand that if there are going to be setbacks, like, you do go out and you have, more wine than you wanted to, or, accidentally inhaled an entire pack of crisps, is to, like, not give up, is to, like, actually be like, you know what, this is life, this is what happens, and actually the next day I can be, go back to kind of my plan and not give up on it. I think it's very easy, isn't it, to get super behind and just be like,
Absolutely.
oh, I'll start again next week.
It's moving away from those feelings of guilt. It's working on your self-worth and also really working on establishing what is the default. What do you default back to? Because it's okay to have a period of time where, hypothetically speaking, you might be in a beef there, socializing with friends, going out for dinner every night, eating a lot of deep fried squid. As long as, random example. But, there comes a cutoff where you go, okay, I'm done with that now. Have fun. And also maintaining a balance within that. Again, not all or nothing. Enjoy a dinner out. Get up, do some yoga the next morning, ground yourself. And establishing your default as a healthy thing to default back to. What does that look like? Getting really clear, what do you need to have in place to ensure that you stay consistent? Because if you don't know what that looks like, how can you follow it? This is part of the problem with diets. When we start a diet, we have a very clear list of do eat this, don't eat that, have some of that, but only occasionally. And it's very rigid and structured. And then we get down to our goal weight and there's no plan. So what happens is you gradually revert back to what you were doing before. So when I'm transitioning somebody onto a maintenance plan, I make sure that they're really clear on what that looks like. What is their ideal routine? And if things do deviate from that, you know what you're reverting back to, rather than it just being a free-for-all.
And also, like you were saying before, there's kind of no point in doing all of these things if you haven't established if there are some health issues to begin with. So if you've got like an underactive thyroid and things like that. So you offer testing, don't you? So you'll do like a consultation with somebody and find out from talking to them what might be an issue, and then you do actual testing, don't you?
For some clients, yeah. So we will always do an initial comprehensive consultation where we do a deep dive into a client's health, diet, lifestyle, medical history, get a really good understanding of what is going on with them, and identify what we believe is the root cause of the issue, really work out why they've been on this cycle of gaining weight and losing it, or inability to lose it at all. And yes, in some cases with some clients, we will see certain symptoms that will make us think, okay, for example, underactive thyroid, people feel a cold, they experience hair loss, low mood, lack of energy. There are certain symptoms that are sort of, quite glaringly obvious, and that we can pick up and then go, okay, well, let's test this to really see what's going on. And then we work closely with an incredible functional medicine doctor, Theodora, who I know you know. And I have, we have our team, but we have a fantastic extended network of doctors and functional medicine practitioners, specialists in different fields, psychotherapists, so that if we identify that a client needs additional support, for example, in a medical context, then we know where to refer and can work closely alongside the doctor who is adjusting things from a medical perspective. For example, with hormonal imbalances, it might be around the menopause, and really truly tackle something. So you have got to the root issue, and you don't leave somebody open to regaining weight as soon as they walk out of the clinic.
All those tests, they can be done at home, and then you
Yeah, so luckily, we were well set up for this before COVID, because a lot of our clients are remote anyway. But and I've just seen Nikki, my practice manager, joins. Nikki, I expressed my gratitude for you a little bit earlier, but you'll have missed that. So yeah, Nikki is the glue that holds it all together. And Nikki knows all about our tests because she liaises with the company to get them set up for clients. And we have at-home test kits that we will send out. People can buy those on the website as well. And the tests are really easy to carry out at home. We then get the results, and we will talk through those results with the client and come up with a strategy based on what's highlighted in those results.
Set yourself off on a path and charging down and being like, all right, okay, I'm going to give up all of the carbs and I'm going to do all of this, and then have very little understanding of your body and what your body actually needs. That's great. And for people who are kind of emerging into the light post lockdown and are finding it difficult to kind of find a balance, and the routines that they built up over lockdown, like, what would be kind of your number one tip of restarting, I guess, or changing your mentality and being like, okay, I want to do things differently now?
The first thing I would say is take stock of where you're at. Get really clear on what is going well and what is not going quite so well. It can be really useful to just sit down with a pen and paper and write all of that down to make sure you're aware. If anyone sort of wants to embark on a journey to sort of improve their nutrition, their diet, to lose weight, and they're not working with us, one of the first things that I would recommend is that they keep a food diary and note down everything that they eat, and also their mood, how they're feeling at the time, so that you can start to identify, are there emotional drivers for eating? And when you've got that clarity around where you're at, you can then move forward with how to improve things. So, for example, if you keep a food diary and that sort of 4 p.m. biscuit that you thought was every now and then actually turns out to be 5 days out of 7, you know that that's probably something that needs to go. You need to find a healthier alternative to that. Or if you notice that you are going to the kitchen cupboards when you are feeling bored, what can you do to alleviate that boredom? What sort of hobby can you pick up? Or what can you do instead? So really having that understanding of where you're at now and what needs addressing, and also not being too hard on yourself and not trying to do too much at once. I think it's really important to be realistic and ask yourself, what is realistic for me? So, you know, even if you just change one thing a month, so you decide that, okay, for this next month, I am just going to cut down on my drinking and commit to just having 2 glasses of wine twice a week. Or I'm just going to work on drinking 2 liters of water every day. And really just achieving one thing at a time so that you can feel like you've done something and build on that, rather than going, I'm going to do everything at once, then it doesn't work, everything goes out the window and you feel like a failure. Yeah.
You're literally just washing your face and throwing a face oil on before you go to bed, and you're like, no, but I bought all of these things.
Exactly.
It's too much to kind of expect a radical change, isn't it? And actually slowly but surely.
And it's just being really honest with yourself as to what is the best approach for you. You know, you will know deep down if you just sort of sit, take stock and really consider things and write out a plan. You know, September, reduce alcohol. October, increase water. November, 5-6 veg a day. Whatever it might be, you know, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming and it's something that you can achieve and build on. Oh, God.
And I know that you get asked quite a lot in the media to kind of comment, you know, every time the government launched like a new health eating initiative or, you know, a sugar tax or whatever, you always get asked kind of what your thoughts are. And I thought if we named Kim the health czar for the day and you had like the control, what would you do? Like what would be the policies that you would put in place? Kimmy's in charge.
So I just get a day. That's a big job for a day. Okay.
I'll give you a month.
Right. Okay. That's workable. So I think the first thing is education, right? Oh, somebody's just messaged that we can't hear.
No. All right.
I can hear you.
Kimmy, I'll shout a bit louder. Does that help?
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it just me or Alex, or I'm just talking to the person who's commented here? Oh, it's Steps. Hi, Steps. Is it just me you can't hear, or is it both me and Alex? If you're still on, can you let us know? Thanks. I will just keep talking.
We will both talking. That's the problem.
The first thing I think is education. I think it's really important to have clear messaging as to what we are aiming for. Can't hear Alex. Okay. Thank you. You're very faint. I can just about hear you, but yeah. So if you can hear me, I'll just carry on rabbiting away. Yeah, really clear messaging. We need to have a very clear understanding of what we're aiming for. There's so much conflicting information. The government guidelines are not optimal. So I think they need an overhaul and we need a consistent, clear strategy on what we're encouraging people to aim towards in terms of foods to eat more of, what to move away from, healthy lifestyle habits, just really clear guidance and implementing that on a practical level. So supporting people with implementing that on a practical level. One of the reasons that CrossFit is so successful is because there's a real community around it. You know, people are so bought in to that community culture. And I think if we can do the same within our communities, with on a sort of wider population basis, I think that would be extremely supportive of people in moving in the right direction. Because what you want to do is you want to motivate people to want to do it rather than making them think, oh, I have to do this, which is miserable and unsustainable. So education and the support with implementing it on a practical level. I also think that we need to be tougher on food manufacturers because they are very sneaky. And the marketing around food and getting us to believe that certain foods are healthy when they're really not is a real problem. You can go into supermarkets and look at the most processed food, and it will say things like full of vitamins and minerals because they've all been synthetically added. Or so I think that we need tougher clampdowns on food manufacturers because it really confuses people. So again, it's around the education. If there's no education coming from experts and all of the education is coming in the form of the snippets that we're reading on boxes of cereal, this is not helpful. So it's a complex issue to address, but there is a lot that we can learn from things like the anti-smoking campaign. That has been very successful in getting people to stop smoking. And even the way that we have got people to stop using plastic bags in supermarkets. We understand that there are three core things. It's the accessibility, so not making those things so readily accessible. The acceptability, smoking is just not as acceptable as it used to be. So again, if we educate people as to things that actually it's unacceptable to let children go to the sweet cupboard and grab as many sweets or biscuits as they want at any time, it's a shift in culture. And then the affordability, cheap, poor quality food is cheap. And it's the food that manufacturers make a lot of money on, those cheap to produce, high margin foods. And so, there has been some debate around whether we look at taxing unhealthy foods in order to subsidize healthier foods. And I think it's really important that this would be done in the right way, but I don't think it's fundamentally a bad idea. I think the problem is often what happens is the government will look at a problem and come up with a very quick reactive solution, like, oh, we'll just tax high sugar foods. And then it gets forgotten about. Or whatever it is, it's a sort of, oh, we'll just do this one thing and expect it to work. And the problem is it's such a multifactorial issue that simply taxing high sugar food alone isn't enough. It needs a really comprehensive strategy in order to address this. So I would love that job. Are you interviewing me on the sly?
Go on, let's make it happen. Let's get Kimmy.
One day.
One day. Oh, thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
I don't think anyone's been able to hear me, but they've been able to hear you.
If you can't hear Alex, she's thanking me and saying goodbye. She's done a very good job, whether or not you've been able to hear her. We've had a great chat, even if it's been very one-sided.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much again. And we will speak to you soon. Good luck with everything in the future.
You too. Speak to you soon. Bye.